Melanie Neal here. We're going to do another lesson from Boat Buying Basics. Today we're going to talk about actually going aboard boats and what you do when you're at the point where you've decided what type of boat you want, you've decided how you're going to pay for it and what your budget is, and you've perused tons of Yacht World listings, and you're ready to start looking. So we actually have a checklist in here, a viewing log that, of course, is in the paperback and the electronic copy of the book. But I will be more than happy to email you a copy of that if you just contact me. Um, there's contact information at the end of the video, so I can send you that. Checklists are wonderful. So what I want to do is take you through an example of what a typical boat buying process, and this is kind of a marathon, thing here that we're talking about, but what a typical boat buying process would look like at this point. So you have chosen your buyer's broker, you've talked on the phone, you've communicated with them quite a bit, you've shared listings with them and they've gone over the listings and said, okay, this is bad, this is good. You said you wanted this boat doesn't have this, and you've narrowed it down to 8 different boats that you want or that you're interested in. You're looking for a catamaran in the 40 to 45 foot range. Your budget is somewhere around the $400,000 realm. And you want an owner's version, which in the catamaran world means that one hull is generally set up for the owners. So there's one or one hull, hull, AMA in the multi-hull world is a proper word for it. But anyway, one side of the boat has a room for the owners and generally a pretty large head and maybe a desk area. And the other side of the boat, the other hull, has 2 staterooms, usually a head in the middle that's smaller and is designed either for guests or for kids. Let's say you're a family, you've got 2 kids, and you want to cruise to the Bahamas, and you want an owner's version, and you want solar power and lithium batteries and a water maker, and you want all the things. You have a very good, checklist or whatever of what you want. Now, you live in the middle of the country, you live in Colorado. The 8 boats that you've identified are all in Florida. And there's a pretty good chance that they would be because Florida has such a high concentration of boats. And mainly, that's, Florida is sort of, we're surrounded by water. Lots of boats end up here. A lot of catamarans end up here because they come out of the charter business and end up in Fort Lauderdale. A lot of the builders ship into Fort Lauderdale. And another reason that there's a high concentration of catamarans in certain places is I'm based out of St. Augustine. There's a marina here that specializes in hauling out and long-term storage of catamarans because they have a really wide travel lift, and they also have a sort of a um, I don't know, ramp, crawler. They call it the crawler thing, trailer thing that can pull really wide catamarans out of the water. And then Fort Lauderdale, there's a high concentration because there are yards down there that do the same thing, that specialize in pulling out catamarans. Most boat yards are not equipped to do this because their travel lifts are generally not wide enough. So you're coming to look at 8 boats. You're flying into Jacksonville. There are 4 boats in St. Augustine you want to look at. There are 4 boats in Fort Lauderdale you want to look at. You're going to look at 4 boats a day. I usually recommend that people don't look at any more than 4, and even 4 is kind of pushing it because you just get overwhelmed with information and it becomes easy to miss things at the end of the day, which is why note taking is good and why it's great to have a checklist. But 4 to me is kind of the maximum. But anyway, we've got 4 boats in St. Augustine we want to see. We meet at the marina. We look at all 4 of those. As the buyer's broker, if it's my local area, I'm going to go on those boats with you, and I'm going to help you, identify different features. My style when I show boats tends to be to sort of stand back. I don't like to hover, and I don't know anybody who likes being hovered over. So, I'll show you around, I'll answer questions, but usually I'll kind of stand back and let you go through the boat yourself and be available and, point out things that you may have missed. So, um, that's just a personal style thing. There are other brokers that will, you know, open every cupboard for you and that's you may want that and tell your broker what you want. Tell them sort of I like to look at things on my own. One of my favorite situations was a client that I was working with, a couple, and they had looked at a lot of catamarans. They were looking for something along these lines. They had a really great system. So they'd get on the boat together. She would go on the deck down one side, he'd go down the other. They would then come back, go, inside the boat. She'd go down in one hall, he'd go down in the other. Then they would switch halls and then they'd kind of meet in the middle in the salon and talk about, what did you see? What did I see? Let's compare notes. So, they all looked at the same, they looked at the same things. But they just, I loved it that they were so organized. So I kind of stayed out of their way and then would, participate in the conversation with them at the end. So, take photos, take video. A lot of times, let's say you have kids and you're flying out to look at the boat, and the kids can't come with you, but they want to see what the boat looks like. So, take video or go live with them and record it. So, I'm big on the order of photos in my listings. If you look at most of my listings, you'll see that I try to be very organized. So I'll take a photo of the cockpit first. Then you'll have photos of either, the companionway or, the entry, photos of the salon, photos of the galley, photos of the staterooms, photos of the heads, photos of the engines. And then equipment and deck and sails and all that. That's just me, but I like to sort of keep my photos organized in the same way that you would see all that stuff while you were walking through the boat. So keep that in mind as you walk through the boat. Don't get on one and, start out in the bilge and, end up on deck. And then the next one, start out on deck and end up in the bilge. So you really should have the same sort of walkthrough method. And that makes it easier to, check things off on your checklist too. Um, so in this scenario, we look at 4 boats in St. Augustine. Then I send you down to Fort Lauderdale. I ask, I've already talked to the brokers down there, set up times. I've set up a schedule for you. I know where the marinas are, and this one's approximately a 45-minute drive from this one. And, so your buyer's broker will most likely not go on every boat with you. Um, it works just like real estate. So if you're going somewhere, out far away from where I am, I'll ask the other broker for a courtesy showing. And that's something that the listing broker does as a courtesy to the buyer's broker. And then you would submit your offer if you found a boat you like. You'd submit your offer through the buyer's broker, and the buyer's broker would then go to survey with you and take care of paperwork, take care of negotiation, do all that stuff that we'll talk about later. But your buyer's broker may not be with you on every boat that you look at. Um, a lot of times I'll FaceTime people while they're aboard if it's a boat that I can't be there for, or just recap on the phone afterwards. So, this is again a pretty like whirlwind situation, but a lot of times it happens this way. You've got a certain amount of boats you want to look at, you have a limited amount of time, you've done your research. We're there basically to make sure that you don't miss anything. And again, that's why, checklists, photos, whatever your way of taking notes is, you want to make sure you do that. So, um, that's it for now. Hopefully this helps you and next step is finding the boat that you fall in love with. So we'll talk about that. talk about the survey process, and we'll chat soon. Thank you.